Hey guys! So on this channel, I have been doing a series where I pick a genre and then I talk about the 5 books that are super popular and I have absolutely no interest in reading. And then I talk about the next week I talk about the 5 books that I in that genre that I am super excited to read. Of course, last month I did romance and I talked more about tropes rather than individual books, but I thought we'd go back to talking about books, and this month we are talking about comics. I actually like comics. I don't read a ton of them, mostly because I find them to be really hit or miss. Like the ones I like, I really like, and the ones I don't like, I really don't like them. And so, and of course, this year I am focusing so much on getting through my TBR that I have not been reading as many comics as I used to. I am reading The Wicked and the Divine, but that's really the only series that I am actually in the middle of. So, without further ado, though, let us talk about 5 very popular comic series that I will not read. Now, I had to do this a little bit differently because I'm I am so willing to try comic series that there weren't any that I actually looked at and said that doesn't appeal to me. It was so I actually decided to go ahead and talk about 5 series that I have started and absolutely put down and have no intention of ever going back to because it either wasn't for me or I actively disliked it. So, the very first one is The Walking Dead by Robert Kirkman. I made it to through volume 6 out of 34 volumes, and it was just not for me. Like, it was very grossly violent. It was, which for anybody that doesn't know, this is a zombie apocalypse type novel. They are in a post-apocalyptic kind of world. It is one of those things where when you take away easy living, how we are as people kind of devolves. And so, um, anyway, it was pretty grossly violent. It was also, there were a lot of the characters were super morally gray. I didn't like any of them. I didn't necessarily hate most of them. I just didn't like them. And then the storyline itself, I was just like so meh about. And I found that I just wasn't looking forward to reading it because I didn't love the storyline. And then, oh, look, there's going to be more violence, especially sexual violence against women. Great. Like I don't want to read it. And so I put it down. Um, After that, I also started and did not finish Sandman by Neil Gaiman. I actually made it like 8 volumes out of like the 10 or so in the series. The problem is my true understanding of what was happening stopped somewhere around volume 2 or 3. And the worst part is that I didn't even understand that I didn't understand the story until I was later talking to somebody and they're like, oh man, and I love it's so meta and like I love this thing and this thing and this thing. And I was just like, what series are you reading? Because we are not reading the same thing. I didn't pick up any of that. And it made me realize something that in the back of my head as I was reading this, I was like, I think there's something I'm missing. And I wasn't wrong. But I went to read the next volume and it became much, much more apparent that I was just missing the whole point of the series, really. And so I didn't just actively dislike it. It's just like, it wasn't for me. It just really wasn't for me. So I put it down and I just never finished it. After that, we do have Fables by Bill Willingham. This is just a book a series that I never connected with. I made it 8 volumes out of 22, but I really never connected with it. And it was like, everybody was saying, oh, it's so amazing. And I was like, I didn't love the first like 2 to 3 volumes because it was just, but I kind of gave it a pass. I was like, we're just setting up, we're getting into these storylines, it's okay. And then I got to the next like 2 to 3 volumes after that, and I was like, I still don't love it. Maybe I'm missing something. I'll give it another couple. And I did. And then I was just like, and then some really sexist BS happened between Snow and Bigby Wolf. And I was just like, oh, I'm out. Like, I didn't love this storyline. I didn't really connect with any of the characters except for Snow. And now this happened. I don't know why people like this, but I don't. And so I put it down and never looked back. After that, we do have Watchmen by Alan Moore. This is an amazingly beloved series. I have had made people angry by saying I can't read it. This is a 12 issue series, and I don't know that I even made it through a full issue. It is marketed as like all these people are really real, right? They're not the Superman do-gooder Boy Scout kind of people. They're like people that exist out in the real world. And I was like, okay, that's cool. So then I started reading it and I'm like, oh, what you really mean is they all do really terrible things and they happen to be superheroes. Okay. And so I didn't like any of them. Like, one of the guys is like just straight up cheating on his wife and I'm like, I can't like you. I appreciate that you are doing good for the world, but I don't like you. And this is one of those books where it doesn't bother me that this is out in the world. It's just I hate all the characters, so I'm never going to want to read it. Like, I just don't care. Especially also because this was also written in the 80s. So the 80s comics tend to have some really bad sexist nonsense that goes on in them, and I just don't want to read it. So I put it down. And then lastly, number 5, we have one that actually makes me truly irate, and that is Batman, A Court of Owls by Scott Snyder. Okay, I will try really hard not to rant, but when I was first getting into comics, I really liked Batman, and so I kind of looked online and was just like, okay, what's a really good Batman series? And hands down, this and then Frank Miller's Batman were consistent across like all these lists. You have to read it. It is so good. It is very tightly plotted. It's amazing. I was like, okay, I will go. And it was so bad. Like, I had some major issues. And this will get us a little bit into spoilery territory. So if you don't want to be spoiled, yeah, just jump ahead. But essentially, the Court of Owls is a shadow organization that is secretly running Gotham. Batman went looking at Bruce Wayne as a kid, went looking for the Court of Owls, and of course he found more about them than like any adult has, which I'm like, yep, that's believable. Okay, cool. And then later on, it kind of cropped. Now in present day, it cropped up again, and he's just like, I knew they were real. And I'm like, you still don't have solid evidence, and you're going based off of your 10-year-old self's instincts. Like, I'm not really buying it. Like, you're such a smart man, and then to kind of be run completely on emotion and like, I don't know, it didn't really sit well with me. And then there was a point where Batman essentially realizes that Dick Grayson was probably recruited, and so he invites Dick over, and then they get a bit into an argument, which I thought was really understandable because Dick was asking him all these questions like, why are you doing this? You seem like you are mentally unstable. And Batman gets so mad at him that he hits him, and I'm just like, oh, not okay. I am not okay with you hitting him. And then dislodges a fake tooth or like a crown or something that has a tracker in it that the Court of Owls put in. And I said, no. I closed the book and I was just like, I am done with this. Because you can't tell me that Batman never took him to a dentist. You can't tell me that Alfred didn't ever take him to a dentist. And yes, like when I went looking for some kind of explanation, people were like, you think the Court of Owls don't have a dentist, or that they couldn't like, change the x-rays or anything. I'm like, okay, maybe, but like, we also know that after fights that Batman has been known to do like body scans of the Robin, so to make sure that there's no damaged bones or like anything like that, so that they can get the proper medical care. Are you telling me that in all of those scans they never saw that there was something weird on his tooth? Really? And like, okay, I really recognize that this is something so small to get so weirdly upset about. I really get it. But at the same time, like, it was a kind of a big plot point, and everybody was just like, it's so tight, this series is so tightly plotted, it's such an amazing story, and I'm like, I can't suspend disbelief far enough for that, like. and, and the problems with this whole like Batman like going off of like a kid's instincts that this thing exists, or like, I couldn't suspend disbelief far enough, and I was so angry about it because so many people love this, so many people recommended it, so many people like praise this to high heaven, and I was just like, I don't understand why it's not bad, but I don't understand why you think it's the most amazing thing that has come out about Batman. Rant over. Clearly I'm never going to finish it, and I'm really okay with that. But that's it, guys. Those are 5 comic book series that I just have no intention of ever finishing. And I probably trashed basically everybody's favorites because they're very, very popular series that I just don't appreciate. But let me know down below, what are the comics that you just really aren't into? What are your favorite series? Let me know down below. And until next time, guys, have happy reading, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.